So this is the section 2. Here we will divide this section in two parts. One as a in publication part, and also a kind of editorial aspect, because if I do not ask you on editorial aspect, that will be unfair. So in this section, we have added this from the season 2 is a student corner. And we pick some random student, and they are going to ask some questions from themselves, whatever the naturally comes to them. So Shreya, thank you for joining us. And so our guest, our renowned guest, our global guest is now at your, you can ask him or interact as you like.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I will be just witnessing and noting the point.
Sir, I'm Shreya Chatterjee and I have completed my MSc in Applied Geology. And sir, I am an aspirant for PhD, and I want to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to ask for your advice. Sir, I want to ask that as a PhD student, should one aim for one paper in a high impact factor journal, or should they aim for multiple projects in moderate impact factor journals?
Shreya, this is a question which most of the students or a large number of students keep asking. The answer cannot be very straightforward. Primarily, it depends upon the work which you start to do. And as I said, I was talking to Manish, and as I always say, not that every piece of work what we do would be of same level. So there could be something, an extraordinary result, there could be some average result, there could be some exciting result, and so on. So depending upon the results what we have in hand, we should target the publication. I do not believe in saying that wait till we get some good result. Every result is good, provided we are able to analyze it properly, and provided we are able to discuss our finding properly. Many places, many students, rather majority, are not trained on discussing the results. And discussion of result and thereafter drawing conclusion are the most significant of any research. And that does not come just like that. The primary requirement of a researcher is so that how much time do you spend on reading? According to global, understanding or global wisdom, a 20% time is a time a researcher must spend on reading contemporary research, literature, reading basic literature. Unless you are reading basic literature, it will be very difficult to go on to analytical part and theoretical part. And contemporary research, that is how you design your own work to bring an element of novelty, to bring an element of new insight. So precisely, if you do a lot reading, you would be able to do a good analysis and determine that how relevant seem or how relevant are your results or your findings. Now, at times you can discuss with your own colleagues, contemporary colleagues in the lab, and otherwise, that is why we call that there is a supervisor, there is a mentor, there is an advisor, for every, researcher. Should discuss with the advisor and try to see that what way the structure of the article comes out, and then you determine the novelty, the newness or new insight, and then you should send it for publication. Suppose you feel that the results are very exciting, nobody has reported this kind of properties, nobody has reported such a good quantity of production or some new feature, anything, then obviously you should target the Q1 journal, what we call the high impact journal. Otherwise, we should look at some moderate journal having the so quantity and quality both are important in a research, and there is no Q. in my opinion, should not have a clear, partition line that it stops here, it stops here. Both go together, and the researcher should develop skills to determine, with the help, obviously, for a young researcher, it will be difficult to determine that what is the level. Is it something very novel? And that is why we take the help of supervisor. I do not believe that you spent doing 4 years or 3 years research, longing for that I will publish in one of the best journal having very high impact factor. No, that's not good.
And sir, as a PhD aspirant, what is the most important thing that we should focus on, which our potential supervisor would look for while reviewing our application?
Very good. It some way have already answered this to you, that one of the most strong requirement and most important requirement for a PhD student is to read. You can, so we, Shreya, should be very clear. We are not doing search. We are not doing discovery. We are doing research. And when you say we are doing research, that means somebody has been done by someone, and we are trying to create a new thread or new element or new information from those work. So how do we do it? We do it by looking at what others have done, try to read them, try to consolidate them, try to compare them, and then we can think of, okay, this person has done this way, this person has done this way, these people have concluded this thing. Maybe I can take something from here, and try to see what happens. And that is what is called research. So reading is the primary requirement, and thereafter discussing. Discussion can be with anyone. There is nothing like senior, there cannot be like junior, and there is nothing like should have, not that he or she is working in different domain, does not matter. No, that the research, if you talk to Manish more, he'll say that we start with a bachelor degree, we learn a lot widely, we focus it, we become masters of science, no? That nobody realizes. And then we come back on again converging together, and that is what is PhD. So in this one, not that I am having expertise on one topic and should move and talk to only people having expertise and knowledge on that topic. Talking to anybody could be helpful. Discussion having group or individual with anyone could be useful. In fact, while discussing it with anyone, you may get your own ideas. Suddenly it may happen to, oh, yo, this could be like this, no? Which I was thinking how it will be there. And this discussion can happen over a cup of tea, not necessarily that on when you go for a cup of tea with your colleagues, with your friends, you talk only about the dress, you talk only about the movie and all that. You can talk sometime about the research also, not in a very serious way, in a light way. So discussion, reading and discussion, they are very important and most critical part of research, not only for a PhD scholar, for any researcher. PhD is the beginning of a research career, but then it never ends. Suppose those who realize that they would want to be a researcher, it never ends. That means reading would never end, discussion would never end, and unless you do these things, we often talk about 80-20 divide. 80% remain average researcher, 20% are the one who carry forward the whole world and science and technology to the next level. So they are not that something that when I started research, I had no clue. And definitely I was not as smart as perhaps you are. No? Coming from a very humble family, not speaking fluent English, not knowing, So, but then I had a very strong zeal and reading habit, developed reading. Reading is very difficult in today's time because everybody would like to go online and just find out what it is, But then it does not help. There are no shortcuts in research, and that should be very clearly understood and adopted by PhD student.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Surya. Do you want more, or is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you. Of course, I would like to just, very thankful that Professor Pandey has told you very elaborative, but he has been very, very humble and indicative. But I would say that don't talk sometime about research. Talk more about research, at least when with your friends. Idea comes from talking, from the having conversation. Talk sometimes about dress and some other things, because when it is tea time in your campus, that time it is the most productive time, at least to have a conversation on research. Try to know what they are doing. That will take you that will spice up that will give you relaxing effect also, and they introduce to your new field. And that is one of the advice. There are some bigger advice, but one are to do things, smaller things, but attached to that question. So this is one of the things that somehow is a model that can be adopted. Yeah, thank you. So just okay, so now Surya can log out, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I would go, of course, we're talking about publication, but, I mean, if I have introduced this section a bit more to know that how the question will come. And what I am seeing is that question comes about the publication, you know, the final fruit. If I were, I know that earlier we wanted to know how to do this. And the questions have also changed from generation to generation. And that the people are now, how to say, the final fruit. We want to know how to get a PhD position abroad, how to impress, how to write a good PhD proposal so that somebody like you can become my co-supervisor, my supervisor or something. But now everybody talks about publication. Anyway, I want to take some advice for my audience first, is that what is your advice to someone yet to decide if he or she should go for PhD? It means when they are deciding, what is your suggestion? Then B, persons about to complete their PhD, because that is a very critical and transitional time. You know, people are either married or going to be married, and they don't know, because after PhD, either you get a shark, I mean, in terms of job, a very meaty fish, or you don't get anything. So that is what is your advice for that? Then on how to become a good researcher afterwards, and how to handle a lab. So this is the 4 questions.
Yeah, I think that by virtue of doing masters, where most of us do some project work as well, it becomes very clear that whether research is cup of my tea or not. As I said, that very strongly, we all know that 80-20 divide is there. 80% people remain average researcher, and most of them do not end up research as a career, or they remain, for the sake of doing something as a part of their job. And then they would never be perhaps satisfied because of their position, because of their salary perhaps, and for various reasons. So I think the best researcher are those for whom research is a passion. So often people have been asking me, what is your hobby? I say that research is my hobby, and they laughed. That, can you elaborate it? I say that, you had to have, if you want to say your fun, from this research. You have to have your enjoyment from this research. You have to have every happiness from the research. And it does not mean that 24 hours you have to be in the lab. It does not mean that you have to only concentrate on publication. Every element of life one has to live. Manish, you will be surprised to know that I advise my students when they ask what to do. I say that sometime, without telling me, bunk the lab, go and watch movie.
Yeah.
So everything, and I do not believe that when you enter into a research profession, starting even with PhD, it should not happen that don't do one thing asking that you wait now, let me do this thing first. Everything in the life must go parallelly. This is very important. And in the life, so the family is important. The social structure in our country is very different from most of the part of world. That is very important. Whether it is a male, whether it is a female, I tell them the same thing, that you have to see what way you can make an adjustment. It's not compromise. That's not right word. Compromise brings always negative thoughts inside the person. It's adjustment with the mutual, consent and agreement. So those are the things when we enter into family life are very important. And any decision which we take in our system, this should be again a mutual decision, so that one partner does not complain for any reason. Then only a successful family life perhaps will venture. And for research, as I say, that unless we feel happy to go to the lab, unless there is so at times people ask me, how do we know that we feel happy? How do we know research is my passion? I say one of the simple ways is that when you go into the lab, in the morning itself, the first thing you keep your bag, not keep it, rather sometimes you throw it and run to your incubator and see what happens to your flask. If it is since we work with the cultures, etc., so I say, look at your babies, how happy they are. Are they happy or they are like this?
Have they born or not?
Yes. So if that curiosity is not there in the morning, it's the first thing to do. That means somewhere it perhaps is not your passion. That should come from your heart. That what happened to my result, and when you do the so when you do the analysis, okay, I took the reading, and if you think that okay, I will make the calculations tomorrow or later, no, then research is not your passion. You should have excitement to know what happened, what are my results. So that is how one can determine that what is my passion or whether it is my cup of tea or not. So I think a person should go into research this way. And if it is so, then you are ready to accept a lot of conditions which are not favorable to you. So people, we keep off talking of complaining. There is general human nature to complain. And in any lab, whether it is CSIR lab, my lab here, my lab in Trivandrum has been one of the most sophisticated and well-equipped lab. But still people have the tendency or have, to complain that this is not there or that is not there. So I could not do this experiment. Let me share with you, if you want, you can retain it in your, when I did my PhD in the laboratory, I was, overwhelmed with my change of topic and all that. But I had one autoclave, one manual pH meter, one handheld centrifuge. That means to centrifuge, I have to do like this.
Yeah.
And 2 incubators set at 37 and 45, and nobody was allowed to touch them or change it. And we had no spectrophotometer. That time we had a colorimeter. So I had to read all the time what is the color, and thereafter choose the filter and take the reading manually, and then do the calculation. And with those 6 facilities, I published 9 papers, that to 6 in international journals. That means if there is it's a simple, if there is a desire, if there is zeal, you can do still a good quality of work. If work was not good, it will not get published in international journal.
Yeah, I mean, there is a 2 aspect of it. One that I can concur very much with me is that, I mean, I don't know why, but I used to like if some pH meter is discarded or being written off from a lab, I used to keep it. When I was doing PhD, I used to keep it. That when I will start my lab, maybe it will take some money to buy, or it will be a while to buy.
Why
Yeah.
not you to keep it? I still, like, that is why this interview has been so fascinating and enriching for me, that even in my lab till now, there is a two AFA book, 2005 and also 2000. These two I have collected from, I mean, discarded book junk from the University of Tokyo. So that is, so perhaps when I would have come and have some the budget for that. So it means I knew that I have to go to create a lab. I have to go to research. So that is what I can correlate it very well. Second thing, that because you have told that about lab we talked. So now I would like to have your advice on how to manage a lab. What is your principle to, I mean, there are several parts of it. One, how to establish it, how to initiate a lab or establish it, and then how to create a system for the lab. And sometimes there will be always a zebra in the in the jungle that will not follow. So in that case, how to maintain or have that system? How do you manage the conflict in the lab?
Yeah, this has been very interesting, but there are two things. One, that if I remember my own establishment of lab in Trivandrum, as I said, that there was no biotechnology. I was given an offer as a fellow in biotechnology. So when I reached there, then I asked the director that you said to me, biotechnology, so you establish it. And so those days, 10,000 rupees was a lot of money. And he gave me 10,000 rupees that to establish a biotech lab. You can think of money. Sorry. And I purchased a hot plate, a 20-liter pressure cooker. That's how I started a biotechnology lab. And of course, tubes, test tubes, flask, those things were obviously there. And then in another department of the institute, there was a spectronic. It was not even a spectrophotometer, but it was a much advanced version of a colorimeter. So I used to go take a reading there. And with this one, I started and got some results in the hand, wrote a project to Department of Biotechnology and got several lakhs of rupees to buy a spectrophotometer and small other things and all that, centrifuge and all that, and incubator and all. So that is how, so what I'm saying that we had to start from the scratch many a time, not necessarily every time. No one of my colleague started from the scratch. Everyone got a very well-established modern laboratory. So the day one on, whether it is a scientist, it has been a scientist, or whether it has been a project staff, or it has been a PhD student, what I try to do is to inculcate them the ownership of the division, making them to understand that why it is important to handle and clean them properly. And of course, made several protocols that which are there, at least theoretically, if not of relevance, so that logbook, that and then not taking it as an offense if somebody did not follow. If somebody did not, there was a rule that you must clean the equipment, pH meter you used, you must clean everything properly and put it back, enter into logbook. And if I found that at time somebody did not clean it, I'm ensured that I clean it, but witnessing that person who did not clean it. Bringing that person, he or she, and say that this is not fair. That means you did not want me to be happy. Okay, I will clean it and be happy, which filled many a time them, guilty conscious or whatever, and they never repeated it. But then, so the aim was not to make them feel guilty. The aim was to make them understand why it is important and why if somebody does not do it, then what would be consequences. And there have been cases, not that, as you say, that there would be zebra. So there have been zebras. And so I was, another thing which was there, which is still there in me, Manish, has been that you don't need to guide a lot to a good student. You need You don't need to tell a student who is reading a lot that how to read. But a student who does not read, a student who is not able to perform, we need to go to their level and try to understand why so. And I would not say that I'm an extraordinary successful person, but definitely within my own division, I have been able to, manage such people. And I had made a review system, grading system, appreciating publicly, but at the same time, not dishonoring, but telling the person in the group that, look, your performance has gone down or you're not improving, and making them, so creating a kind of spirit of holy competition. And so this has been many time learning for me also. There are specific examples I can tell you. One of my student, when I say again, is any student working in my division, because almost everyone came to do PhD with me. And I made them to understand that it is not me who is important to be supervisor. It is the division in which they are working that is more important. And so she was, according to her own supervisor, most useless student. And when she completed her PhD and thereafter, she has been one of the most productive student, because she understood the relevance and need for her to change her approach for work and also, other things in the division. And today, of course, I said that you did so well, and I'll try to reward you in my own way. And she's scientist in one of the DBT Institute in our country. So this is a kind of one of my students who registered with me. I told him that importance of being disciplined. I had a rule that 9 means 9. 9 does not mean 901. And thereafter, I made it, a desired time of PhD student and project start to arrive at 8. And trust me, 90 to 95% student used to come at 8.
Sometimes it is very opposing. I mean, because research students like to work in the night, but maybe in 80s or 90s might be different. But didn't you feel any opposition or something to have starting with 8 a.m.? Or in Kerala, it was like that?
No, it was never a problem. In fact, I had given them this freedom, because I used to tell, if you have no work, you should not stay in the lab after 6. Go and enjoy your life. If you have no work, Saturday you must come. And I used to, in my division, I had very different kind of, I used to make a library in my own office. All the PhD student or project student sitting and reading some material. And then we had a very strong in my office, not any other place. And suddenly I'll pick one of them. What did you read in last 1 hour? Tell everyone.
Wow.
And
that is a very great learning process.
Yeah. And then something different I used to do. I used to offer lunch to everyone.
From your pocket or from
Yes, obviously. So
you are heading a branch or say kind of a division. So why can't you pay from that?
I never did that, because I did not find that as, when we had official seminar, that time it was there. But when I made them to do this kind of things, that I felt that, so this way I made them also to understand, not only to read and the social life within the, because there were a lot of, pockets, incompatible pockets, because I had a big division and never less than 30 people in the beginning, and subsequently 40, 50, and last 10 years, around 60 people all the time. So keeping them together was one of my aim, to collaborate with each other, to, if not work like a colleague, at least tolerate each other and give space to everyone to work. It should not happen at 4 hours I work with a laminar flow. Of course, as the number increased, I increased the facility also. So since I was quite successful in getting large number of industrial projects within India, outside India, and of course, a lot of other funding from government, DST, DBT, CSIR, Mission Mode project, National Importance project, and so on. So money was never a project. In fact, I was one of the most rich person in the institute as long I was there, you know.
So because of the money from the patent or from consultancy?
Mostly industrial consultancy project. And within country also, since, for example, we took the first project from the department, completed all the objectives and published several Q1 journal papers. So when project to completion report was there, it was graded as one of the excellent. So that helped when I applied for the next project. So all that were
so
there.
I mean, here interesting thing that I again want to summarize for my audience is that the many times when you make your colleague or your subordinate to take into the part in some process, which is not a kind of like, come, I will teach you. No, come, we will read. Yes. Come, like I have joined here at UPS, and I started only faculty research meeting. And we just ask each faculty that please present your ongoing project or whatever you have done and what is your future direction. So it is a learning process, but nobody knows. Nobody think that this is a not a come and I will teach you. And there I have made several presentations. So this is a kind of the process is important. But let's suppose that your two of subordinate or two of students are having a fight. How do you manage that?
I always
or conflict of interest.
I always made them to come to me, sit with me, and tell your point of view, and tell others' point of view. Listen, as when one is telling, please listen, and please do not start responding to that. And that is why I was
rebuttal will be later.
Yes. Yes. There is, and then not always, but many a time, this exercise was very useful. That not that they started liking each other, but at least public conflict stopped.
Yeah, somebody told me in this season the scholar series that I made them to explain their issues, and after explaining they are exhausted. So then I say, now second. So I mean, it's done. So everybody grudge is out and like that. So it is work. I think now I would go very quick about what do you look in a CV or person before saying yes for a PhD position, or let's suppose recruiting that him or her for scientist position, and so on and so forth.
Let me also tell you before I come to this one. Let me also tell you one of the first thing which I practice and try to inculcate as much as possible to remove I from that person's personality and bring in we and us in the person. So it started when the first presentation I did so. So raise the hand. I have a question. You did alone? And making them understand the relevance that it is not the I, it is we. And I think that has been quite effective, quite useful. No? So coming back to this one, that because for large number of projects, etc., we've been looking, selecting people, and now also go for selection committees for some position and all that. So my evaluation goes on two fronts. One is academic career, and other one is what is their research career. And I try to see that sometime it is never necessary that somebody does not have all the 4 first class, but then they are doing
marvelous
job. So I have seen, not necessarily that it is true, that a person having average research career, average academic career is more successful and more hardworking in a research career. As I said, that not necessarily that it is a universal truth, but then looking at the people who are around me, my colleagues, my friends globally, this is something what I have observed. And quality of research, obviously, the parameters are publication, but not necessarily in high impact factor journal publication only. These have been, the important aspect for me, evaluating the credential of the person. And always, for a research, I always look for his or her ability on crossfield. Usually, I do not ask question on the PhD thesis, usually, but I would like to evaluate the person ability on some basic aspect as well as, the crossfield. So
I mean, this is
people,
So at least it is a good thing. Of course, we are coming to the publication very soon, and there I would highlight some of your answer that you are giving. But in this case, and I'm happy that you at least promote the cross or interdisciplinary knowledge and also research experience. And that is very much needed at this point of time, I am seeing, because there are many interdisciplinary center programs are being done, but when people recruit, they ask a question like ethics, which you were posed. So that is, and in 21st century of already 2 decades has passed and 3rd decade we are in, and still some people are asking such questions. Such people need hard education. I mean, I'm very much, I don't care. Now I have learned so much that I can become an entrepreneur or I can leave this field, still I can survive. But the point is that this is a very bad thing I am seeing happening with the young people, and they are not young people. They are like our part. They are continuing the humanity, and they are the part of our species. And I don't know that. Okay, but before we go to the publication part, which is going to be a little bit. Of course, you have talked a lot about that. What should be the art of living of an academician or researcher? Here I would like to, because PhD part is ending, I would like to highlight for my audience is that Professor Pandey has, trained 60 master or supervised 60 PhD and master dissertation. Being in CSIR lab, having supervised 20 PhD is too many. I mean, if I would multiply into 3:1, because university people comes mandatory for doing PhD, but not it is the other way around in CSIR. So that point I wanted to make it. Yeah, please tell me that what should be the art of living of an academician or researcher?
Yeah, this is of course my view, though. I always talk again on this anywhere in the world. One is that there is no second alternative to hard work. And true for any profession, and absolutely for researcher. There is for researcher, there is no alternative to reading. Several times I have repeated this thing, and I always believe that we need to do good science. That's the bottom line. And to do good science, again, come back that we need to read a lot. We need to discuss a lot. Then only we can leap from the average to good, to very good, to excellent, and then outstanding. That is how I think the ladder is there. When you do good science, it should be known to the people, should be told to the people. Knowledge dissemination is important element, and knowledge dissemination, if knowledge dissemination is not done, the science will not grow. That means we need to disseminate this knowledge. That means the road or avenue for this is publication. Now you can find these days or any time in our country or anywhere in the world, much more in our country, there is a unnecessary discussion saying that we don't need publication.
Yeah.
No.
How this person has published so much? It is not possible. Certainly, I would cite you because, of course, it is a very gradual shift from this section to the publication section. One person, recently I was interviewed for some position, and that person has told me, oh, you have published in 50 paper in 2020, and it means almost one paper per week. I told, no, sir. If you should say, I have 100 paper and I have been in higher education for 20 years.
Yes.
So it is 5 paper per year.
Yes.
Don't go, the publication is the finishing time.
Yes.
But the research, that research I have just last week, or I published one paper in Science of Total Environment, which I began in 2010. Right. When I joined as a faculty, I wrote first proposal on that. And then I summarized this in 2021.
Yes, yes.
So this is really that you bringing this point on, because I have been really wounded. So I reacted. Yeah. Please go on.
There are many things in this regard. That one, who are these people who say so? Just make an analysis. These are the one who are utter failure in research. That I do not want to go on making talk of a negative aspect, do not want to make any loose talk, and do not want to say any undignified word. But then who are these people? Precisely, they do not understand what is science. Mm-hmm. Precisely, they do not know what is good for any nation. So we have to do good science. Good science needs dissemination. That is how the science grows. That means we must publish it. But then, as a good researcher, as a good academic person, as a good scientist, we must know that where to make a distinction, what to publish. Should we publish every result? Or if there are some results which may have relevance, hold them for patenting and patent it, and there could be possibility of industrial application, commercialization, etc. We need to understand anywhere in the world, even 2% research does not go for commercialization. And today, in our time, there are people who are asking everything, we should patent only. We should not publish. Means, what should we do? We should patent? It is never possible. Now, you do not know anything about the science. You do not know anything about the research. And what happens, Manish, if you want to use the word, unfortunately, the people who are supposed to advise government, they say, yes, sir, you are very right. I have sat in the highest committees, and to minister, these are the people who say you are right. We do not want, they use very loose word. We do not want paper scientists. Then you should say that we do not want scientists. That's it. Close down the laboratories.
That's it.
We are a scientific research institute. The industry comes later. And one has to understand that in the lifetime, most of researcher, it is 1 or 2 or 3 technologies which come out in the whole lifetime. Every research cannot.
Sometimes no technology and whole life.
No technology, no. So we need to do good research. Good research need to be disseminated. That is publication. We need to hold some results which are which appear interesting, could have possibility of patenting. Then you should file patent. And then, but that also happens 5 or 10% only, not even 10%, 5% perhaps in the lifetime of any researcher. And then we should, of course, once you become mature, the work, you should always try to find some industrial linkages. It is not that the industry is just waiting for you. What is your, credential? No, the business needs money. And obviously, business requires profit. Unless somebody is insured of that profit, nobody would like to go. We are very, fast to blame industry, Indian industry and all that. What is the faith of industry in you? What is that you have done for Indian industry? No, there are 2 things. They are parallel. To bring them together, we need to have a dialogue and we need to understand very clearly. And as a scientist, I have a huge ego. You are an industry person. You ask me one question on my result, I become offended. No, it's not correct. This approach is not correct.
Yeah.
You are putting your money, and obviously you have the right to get answers of your basic questions. So we should try to understand. We should try to, so this dialogue is very important, which is grossly missing in our setup. And of course, the people who are on the, again, in advising capacity, who are on, I don't know,
decision-making capacity,
they are giving incorrect, information or advices to policymakers. If you want to say to government, you can say government, and so on.
No, they are making a cruel decisions. I can tell you, sir, that it says that somebody who fails becomes a very great coach in game. You will see that the many cricket player who could not make it, like Yuvraj Singh father.
Yes.
He could not make it by himself, but he produced really a great the cricketer who eventually has contributed too much for in 2011 World Cup, or so much, if I would not say too much. Why not this ethos can be percolate in a field of government decision making or research and academic field? Maybe at least I have not published or I have no patent, but I should know how much labor it goes.
Yes.
At least I had tested it, because at least I have tested it for few. I have also done PhD. Only then I am there. So I at least know that how much labor. At least I can appreciate that. But it is like I become enemy of somebody who is publishing. I become enemy of somebody who is productive. I become, can you find a reason for me moving out from some very good institution so that I could have been, my effectiveness was multiplied so many times. So in that case, that was a pinching thing, not for a particular incident or particular person, but, and then if you pick a wrong candidate for faculty position, or they are scientists, they are like, if they remain inactive, they damage entire generation.
On average, 30 years, the damage will be
30
made.
30 years damage.
Yes, 30 years average damage has been made to the institution. No, so
just by that day, just on some call, or just by, I don't know for what reason.
Yeah. A related issue is here. One more point, since we're talking on this kind of matter, we also indulge. This is again same kind of group of people who gets indulged, saying that we don't want basic research, we want applied research. It's shame on your poor
product-driven research.
So unless you do basic science, if you want to say basic science. So I never say basic science applied. I say you need to do good science. And what you publish as the development of science is called basic science. And unless you do basic science, if you want to say that one, you cannot convert it to applied science. There is nothing like that. I am doing only applied science. If anybody could show that I have done only this thing and all that.
No, so the point is, to apply science, you need science.
Yes, you need science.
To apply somewhere.
Right.
In that definition itself, there is a science, which you need science, and then only you will apply, man. So, I mean, this is really very much. And that when I talk about engineering and technology, sometimes they will say that, oh, you have done PhD in environmental engineering, but your bachelor degree is not in engineering.
Yes.
And sometimes it is like technology and engineering and science and arts. To be very fair, I always say my student or whoever my colleague is there where they can hear me, I said, look, the technology is grandson. The engineering is father of that, because there is a like engineering and father. But science is grandfather of the engineering, because engineering comes once the science is done. and
Right.
then okay, let's fabricate something.
Right.
So in that case, and science comes from arts.
Yes.
So art is grandfather, because
Yes.
many good great scientists go for music, go for something, and then they develop, and the idea comes. So this is the order. But
Somehow or other, when we talk of specifically of our country now, the divide is very strong, but then this divide is made by the incompetent people who have no idea what is science, what is technology. This just foresee their own benefit, their own position. That's it. Otherwise, no responsible person having true knowledge of science would ever say this kind of statements or dialogue.
yeah, I mean, this has been a thrilling conversation, I would say. Of course, marathon and also, but this is average time. This is average time, like 2 hour 30 minutes plus, but the average time in this platform. But nobody has somehow, for one reason or another, they are very reluctant. I mean, on talking on some issues, but. I am, with due respect, I am saying, because I love those features and all. So maybe I would edit this part, and I would rather say that being open, like what you have said, just is going to help. Sometime maybe down the lane somebody will open, and this segment they can go on, or I will make this segment out and put it out there on some media, and in that case maybe later on in down the lane, because that searching the soul is sometimes is that you need some Mahatma, or you need some Buddha who say that come and do the pranayama.
Yes.
You will feel better.
Yes.
So that thing, that we need to go to that direction, and something wrong is happening if we will not indicate how long we want to be diplomat. Yes. Or we don't want to hurt emotion, but we want to hurt the career. We want to kill the talent.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not done. So this is still we are not in publication, but we have talked about everything. So there I will remain only 1 or 2 questions. But this is, I don't know, because you have so enormous wealth of experience. That what should we focus on that can give us a competitive edge in research area, or in other way around. Of course, you have said publication and all, but how do you find next research problem? Of course, it branch out from the previous experience, because it is not happening. It is not happening. But any particular little exercise that you might be doing. Of course, reading is another part, that by reading the work you can know. But any very unconventional thing that you can remember?
Nothing very unconventional, but by virtue of my personal, relationship with a lot of people in industry, many times I have been discussing, or they have been discussing, or we have been on informal, gathering, talking to each other about issues broadly related with their interest and our interest. And at times, some of the researches or some of the processes we have developed, I'll give you a specific example of development of an enzyme. So when I say a product development, the quantity of product development, when I say enzyme research, how much is the yield becomes very important. And and overall, what is the cost of production of that product? These two become very important when you talk of industrial product, or some technology or some process, how you would like to transfer to an industry. These are the two fundamental questions we need to address. But at times, there are other issues. So in case of one particular enzyme, which is for food application, more precisely for bakery application, I understood that the properties of enzyme or associated activities of enzyme are also playing very critical role. So this came to me from one of industry person who told me this kind of matters.
Problem.
And so we had, since I was having good hope for possible industrial linkages to our enzyme research, and we have been very successful. 4 technologies to industries I have transferred on different enzyme industry in our country. So in this particular enzyme, this is what exactly happened. So I told him that this is a food enzyme, and literature has already mentioned about the associated activities of this enzyme, which are very critical for bakery products. So he told, okay, give me your enzyme sample. That's a mutual trust. And so I gave my enzyme sample without any material transfer agreement, without any documentation, etc. He evaluated this enzyme in his bakery, in his industry, because he makes a cocktail of enzymes, supplies to industries. But before doing that, he has a small lab where he would make the test of enzyme. And in a month or so, he came running to me. This enzyme is an excellent one, and I would like to take it as a technology from you. So as I say, that out-of-box discussion and informal discussion
Yes.
with different people also help sometime. And this is very specific example I can give to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We had met in an international conference where he was participating, I was participating. We knew each other even before, and then this happened.
How to keep a good research network, and is it necessary?
This is a very important point. Even if you had not asked, I had thought I will touch this point. I feel that I became more and more successful as my network and collaboration expanded. So I have perhaps having one of the largest collaboration within this country. Almost all the previous ever IITs, I had joined collaborative project with IIT Kharagpur, IIT Delhi, IIT Chennai, IIT Mumbai, and it has been IIT Roorkee even. So it has been very useful. And thereafter, slowly, once I returned, I had after my 10 years or something, I had been able to get for longer time. I was in other countries, Brazil and all that. Since then, I started looking for international network, and I had official collaboration with 10 to 12 countries, and also informal working collaboration with more than 25 countries. And this helped a lot me, not only to improve the quality of publication, because there's the time when we never published in any journal less than Q1. And also the citation, if I do the analysis of papers, it increased. Having institutional collaboration within country, outside country, the papers which had more names, more partners from all over the world, I felt they get better attention than the having just supervisor name and your name, or 3 or 4 name. And obviously, because of collaboration, that brought huge change for benefit of the younger colleague or colleagues or students, because everyone has then the opportunity to visit other lab, learn other kind of culture, see different work culture, and then also expand collaboration and quality of work for them. So I think at this point, I will also share with you 2 important things which I did during beginning of 2000, early 2000. Several of my colleagues who were a senior or senior middle level have been talking to me and saying that there is no dedicated professional biotechnology society at national level in our country. And then the second issue, which many people talk to, just not me, that whenever we met at a forum, was that no recognition for meritorious people to get awards and fellowship from academies. Hmm. So that was a very sensitive issue, and it's not easy to talk such issues on an open platform. That you get a lot of criticism, you even get pick up a lot of people who start enmity with you, people start harming you when you go for some projects and all that and all that. But then I had a discussion, long discussion with many people and very long process, thought process in my own mind, and looking at professional societies within country, outside country, studying their structure. And in 2003, the date I remember, what not the day, 2nd October 2003, I announced creation of the Biotech Research Society India, and did the Scopus search and picked up 23 top people in the country in terms of publication. And of course, several of them were closely known to me, and which have also been doing this industrial research. And I wrote to them that created this society. Would you like to be a part of this society, the Biotech Research Society? And eventually all the 23, which were representing the entire country, Southwest, East, Northeast, everywhere. And we started this society, BRSI. And today, BRSI, I can tell very proudly to you, Manish, that this is the most active or one of the most prolific professional society in this country. And since I had already international network and collaboration, I asked my French collaborators that would like to establish a similar kind of professional society fully and purely dedicated to bioprocessing, industrial bioprocessing. And we established, currently it is known as International Bioprocessing Association, IBA. And it has 35, 36 countries as member, and all the Europe and US and Australia and all that. So I have been trying to develop a network and collaboration between the partners, where I made it a point that in any project which I create, developing between the people, taking people from our country and international, I will not directly participate in any project, because then I will start perhaps thinking about the benefit for me or my people. So I think that worked a lot. And today IBA has, as I said to you, that 35 countries are member, and we have been able to develop several dozen projects across the world, within country, and taking Indian people anywhere in the world for collaboration and networking. So BRSI and IBA have been able to provide a lot of benefit to people, primarily to our people, and of course in developing international network and collaboration. So we were talking of a few minutes before about need for networking and collaboration for research publication. So I think this is one of the fundamental requirement, and one has to understand that the relevance and need for doing cross field research, interdisciplinary research, multidisciplinary research, which is far more successful when we have such network and collaboration.
No, I have actually, I have a research question, and I mean we research about this, and I was going to ask you about fellowship of society pertaining question. But one thing I would like to tell you that I already noticed about this society, and Indian societies mainly has very, very bad, that web page. But there I would like to congratulate you that your web page is very cutting edge. I mean, this the BRSI has really nice web page. At least by look, we should not look like less competitive, right? It only needs hiring right people and giving them views, and they will create for you. So many, again, I think I am going to do a lot of bad for me because I am really too much vocal about things. But I know that my intentions are honest, and it is a right criticism. So in that case, it is really nice. So congratulations. I also realized that you are running a magazine that is also going to be, it is also a big, how to say, things to look forward. Because when I ask you that, what is the main like pertinent question, or what are the current research problem? In that sense, Biotech Express, like your magazine, can help a lot. And also I have seen that through the society, you can encourage young people. And I have seen that in that society, there is a award for women, award for early career, award for a lifetime, award for every section. It seems like, you know, that this is a kind of encouraging. Vivekanand said that you cannot improve a person without encouraging or without telling good words.
Yeah.
Bad words cannot make the transformation. No, you have to tell you can do that. Only then it begins from there.
Yes.
Then that person will think whether I should do or not.
Yeah.
But that kind of appreciation or recognizing is, so you have rightly said that it was lacking, and so you founded one. I am trying to actually, again, I just calculated quickly that you were at the age of 47 when you established that. I am at, and I am trying to have nowadays the one society that I created about ISAC, the International Society for the Contaminants and like that. So this is and sustainability. So it is ISAC, and then there is a the abbreviation. But I didn't go for a still membership and those things. Life is keeping me really busy. But yes, I think this is a great contribution of yours to Indian science. Moving to the fellowship part, many times, I'm not talking about your society, but as far as the fellow recognition is going, some prizes, some very, very coveted prizes going on. There it is like people are, although it can always, people talk about Nobel, people can talk about Oscar, there is always some society. But as per se, Indian context, if I talk, and if I talk about Bhatnagar and those things, see, here my job is to anchor, so it is not necessarily to be my thought. But yeah, there are a lot of if and buts. What is your take on that?
Manish, I do not believe in finding fault with the people,
Yeah.
but definitely the system is not set well, for sure.
Yeah.
If you look at the credential of people who get it or who are getting it, and if you look at the credential of people around them who could not,
huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
And
Same
not
thing,
this difference,
yes,
this difference.
Yes, same thing. So somewhere it hurts you. You start thinking. Then I feel very sad. But then I try to just get out of this kind of issues. That why a person having such a huge credential could not, why his or her application for getting the fellowship of national academies has not been successful. There is no answer. No. So I believe two ways. That one, that I say that you must honor merit.
You must?
And you must honor merit. That's the primary requirement for me. I would not mind, in our system, I would not mind that in between you try to push also someone. But primarily you should honor the merit.
Very nice. Very nice. Well said.
But then somehow it is not happening the way it should be.
I mean, if I talk particularly from in earth science, I mean, in biology, I have seen that if they find there is a two equal people of equal merit, or if I would put it other way, or some sarcastic way, that one is with merit and one, of course, merit, but let's push it, that person also. So in that case, they give two. In 1 year, it is not necessary to have only one person. And I have seen that it is happening in chemistry, in biology, but in earth science, they say, oh, not found suitable. They even go to zero.
Zero.
And depriving many.
Yes.
And then they say that, oh, we don't have the many candidates for.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So this is.
These are not good situations. These are not good things. So that means actually we are making a permanent damage to our scientific society.
Yeah, and what I have also seen is that sometimes, let's suppose that some award is recognized at time of 35, sometime is at time of 45, but so at least the time you get award, you should become, you should see that, okay, I have been trusted. Now I have to do something good.
Right.
But if you give incompetent person,
Yes.
it works poison for them.
Opposite, yes.
I have seen that they receive and they say, "Oh, it has been proven."
Yes.
So you go and check that how many National Academy Young Scientist Award could make it far.
Yeah.
But I mean, the percentage again divide into 80-20 that you have said.
Yes.
Only 20% who has been recognized. And if you will read that why they are given the recognition, it is written because they have published 2.3 impact factor journal, or they have, I mean, it was little bit very much, but anyway, we need to move on. About, yeah, and I am again congratulate you and thank you from the bottom of my heart to not to keep silence. At least that is not your, I mean, after so much work and credential behind you, you cannot harm or you cannot undo your all contribution if you do keep silence. So thank you, and I'm really, really proud to, I mean, to have you in, of course, as an Indian scientist to look up to. So then let's go to the publication part. Tell me, if I will not talk about bioresource technology, it will be not interesting for audience. How did that happen? I mean, how did you create such a huge, I mean, journal? So tell me about how the conceptualized, or how did you get this paramount responsibility, and what kind of things you do on the way, and that you created this journal?
When I started my research, I realized that bioresource technology is the one which could, precisely I was working as the editor of journal that time, Dr. Hobson from UK. There was a time when, now also, of course, there are only a handful of Indians perhaps who are editor or in chief of journal and all that. So not going on to that one. So he was much impressed with my editorial performance, the promptness, the critical appraisal and all that. So in 2003, I got, that time it was only letters, and that asking me that if I have interest to join as editor of the journal. So obviously I said yes, and there were a lot of other things and all that. And then I was invited to go to Oxford in England, which is the Elsevier's headquarters, for discussion and all that. So there they did not ask me, but I made a presentation. I went prepared. And the first thing which is very clear to me, and today also I said that journals are meant for publication, not for rejection. This very clear to us, and this is a policy editor has to keep in the mind. Second thing, I told to them that editor is a learned person having expertise on at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 domains, depends upon. Editor is not a post office.
Okay.
The author submits the manuscript, you give, your secretary is there is a list of reviewers, and the secretary will post it to 2 reviewers. So a few things I said to them. So, and also that how I look at bioresource technology. So I said that in my view, it should have a very drastic makeover in its scientific content. And so I had some broad ideas which they asked me to share, and I shared, mostly orally. And
Mhm.
then they told to me, the publishing editor told to me to submit a full proposal for journal revamping. So that was in 2004. And in 2005, first time, the entire shape up they did not do, because the editor-in-chief did not appreciate the entire change.
Mhm.
But then 2007, we were three editors, and one of the editor passed away.
Oh.
And nobody informed this time. That time everything was, 2006. Nobody informed from the family to Elsevier. They were paying the expenses also, considering that he is still. So 6 months gap was there, and a large number of manuscripts were accumulated in his office. So once we came to know, then we discussed. Then I offered that transfer entire bundle to me. I'll handle them. And I finished entire backlog in 6 months' time. But that was the time they again said to me that, would you like to rechange? So this kind of things happened 2 times. 2 of the editors passed away, and their work I completed. That brought a lot of goodwill and confidence from Elsevier side. And in 2008 said to me that, would you like to be editor-in-chief of the journal? But that time there was a guy from US who was a good friend of mine. So I did not say yes, I did not say no, but I said that I would like the journal to be completely changed. And 2009, it was completely changed. Moving with the time, that I was following the kind of development with focused theme on energy and environment, taking industrial biotechnology, which has been my main domain, as one component. So these 3 components with a specific focus, not everything on environment, but only on wastewater, only on bioprocesses, only utilization of bioresource. That is how I put it. And it was implemented. And in 2010, I was then made editor-in-chief. So right from the day one, 2 things I put as the major strength of journal. One is the quality of review, and the second one is speed of review. And today I can tell you that bioresource technology is perhaps the fastest, if not the
one of the fastest.
Yes. 1 point.
Publication time 0.6, review time 1.2 week, and time to pass a decision 1.2.
Yes.
So it is like no statistic goes even for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
While a standard time is 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes.
Now, or 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 5 weeks is a very good reasonable time.
Yeah.
So congratulations for that. Some of the views has matched of the one particularly that you said that journal is for publication, not for rejection. The same idea the Professor Damia Barcelo has told me, the chief editor of Science of Total Environment. He was telling that there are many competitive journals, and if I will not publish, somebody will publish. So I must make doubly sure that it is not the one I want to publish. So this is very surprising. If I go by the number of desk rejection, it is the views of this EIC is really the good, but opposite to the numbers. Number does not concur with that. So and I also talked about like this season 2, we are going to have editor-in-chief of bioresource technology already being recorded. The editor-in-chief of current pollution report, Springer, already recorded. The editor-in-chief of environmental pollution is going to be recorded in a couple of days. And and one more we reached. So it means the 4 editor-in-chief we are going to interview in season 2. And and last time also we interviewed 2 or 3, chemical engineering journal and Science of Total Environment. So 2 editor-in-chief we already interviewed. So thank you for letting me that put it in mind that this number. But we talked about desk rejection.
In fact, let me tell at this point to you that I don't remember the year, but I think it was 2011 or something like that, or 12. We had an editors conference in Singapore.
Yes. Okay.
Now this kind of things do not take place because they are quite expensive. Elsewhere has stopped all that. So in that conference, I had told this statement that journals are meant for publication, not for rejection.
So maybe they have learned from you.
And the vice president of Elsevier, he stood up and he shook his hand with me. His name was Vice something, and Weissman he was called, So very, very, very intelligent person. And, so this reminds, I thought I'll just tell to you that this was...
No, this is, thank you. Thank you, because, actually sometimes at least this kind of thought is not, we don't patent. We hardly even care to patent. But these are the good thoughts that spread, that get into deep rooted, and people do not get contribution per se. It doesn't show on the CV per se, but that is the I think numbers that is going to be decided when we will die, and it is going to be decided heaven or hell. Perhaps the major Google Scholar is not taking it, Scopus is not taking it, but maybe somebody upstairs must be taking into these things. So thank you for giving me that one. And here I would like to again, I am getting critical to my my own country, some of the things, but I would like to tell this thing also about the publication, that this kind of that editor meeting is no more costly. I mean, if Elsevier has stopped it, it is wrong, because nowadays that the journal which only can be published based on subscription is getting reduced by day by day. So in that case, if you are getting so much huge money without putting anything, without putting a zero thing from your side, a typesetter, just a domain, and then the paper, oh, don't worry. A person who write a paper proposal, brings the money, do the research, and write the manuscript, send it to you, and then again a scholar review it for you, and all that thing. A scientist is handle it, those things. So all are those intellectual brain, and you publish it and they still charge it. And after that, you don't let those people to meet and do the brainstorming and come up with such idea that we just talked about. So wherever there is you can say that there is few people who thinks like that. Because see, if there is a editor-in-chief meeting, I am not going to be benefited. But I know some way some light will reach to me. It's a kind of like Birbal Khichdi, no? That a light was there and somebody could spend a night in the lake. That is the same thing. If great minds meet, they will evolve something. They will come up with something that will change or affect my life positively. So that is the one point. About the quantity and quality, first desk rejection. Of course, I don't know whether you must have forgot it, but I did write to you one time when I submitted paper, and it was desk rejected. That oh no, this is not done. Of course, so there is a two question of it. One, how do you do the desk rejection? But the most importantly, how to take it as a researcher, because that is also for young or for many people, that how to target a journal, how to take rejection, how to those things.
For targeting the journal, I always say that the best way is to look for recent issues, online issues. It is not necessary that you read the entire paper, because sometimes it is necessary to pay to get the full paper and all that. But then at least on the Scopus or on even Google search, you can find the abstract and some full paper, etc. So using the own works keyword, 3 most important keyword based search should be done, and then maybe we can find 3 or 4 journals which are publishing more and more in the on those keywords. Then try to make priority of 1, 2, 3, read some articles from them, and then decide that which one you should submit. Then second thing becomes, which is very important, go and study guide for authors. Many a time people do not do that, and that does not give them the right impression to editor. That does not give right impression to reviewer. They say that a person is casual, does not have even time to spend 5 or 10 minutes to read. There are only few things which change in a reference pattern, in the list references into this one, or sectional headings, etc. There's nothing much, and somewhere either word count or page limits are there. So these are the few things which are very simple to follow, and if people do not do, the general impression is that it's not serious. At times, people, the manuscript gets rejected from one journal and simply send it to another journal. That's the kind of impression people get when there is a gross violation of guide for authors. So this should not be done. So try to find out which could be the best journal by doing keyword-based search, matching the similarity, and then making 1 or 2 or 3, not more than that, priority list for kind of work which we are doing. Then going for preparing the manuscript, following guide for authors. In today's time, when we use different kind of automated Word documentation system, referencing system, etc., these things are very easy to follow. So that should be done. And then as far as rejection is concerned, I would not like to say much, but then saying that journalists have their own mechanism to do the screening to determine novelty or a new insight. And if according to the journal's norm it fails, it goes for desk rejection.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that one should get disheartened. Obviously, today also, if one of my manuscript gets rejected, I feel very sad, and that kind of, zeal is still there to publish. And but then try to see if there are some comments. If desk rejection are there, then there would not be any specific comment. But if there are rejection after reviews, that also helps to improve the quality of work. Then try to modify the experiment if some suggestions are there, or modify the discussion, or modify the write-up part, etc., and see that if it could be submitted to another suitable journal. So publication is a word where a lot of patience is needed, and a lot of efforts are needed to get it published in right journal. Sometimes there could be, I always say that I write even sometime that there could be some erroneous judgment, but then for that you need to not pick up a fight, but to write to editor, discuss the science point, and then maybe the situation might change. So that is how I look at.
So I mean, so here that is what is. Thank you for the last line, because I remember, of course, I don't tell you the journal name, but it was a review, and one editor has, one reviewer said positive, one reviewer has said negative. Journal was very, very high impact factor, and it was rejected. Then I wrote to editor-in-chief that this is, now it is the voting of 5 against 1. 3 author of me, so who is in favor and think that this journal is suitable. Otherwise, I would not. We are the people, we do not many times people adopt like we will go like this. I don't. Now my calculation is such that I know even I can make a difference that 7.5 or 7. So that is what is the quality of my judgment. So because reviewing and all those is getting more and more precise. That is what experience teaches. So now 3 of us who thought that this journal is fit, you who thought that this topic is pertinent, so you sent to the associate editor. Associate editor also thought that it is fine, and then they sent to the reviewer, and then out of 2, 1 is saying yes, it should be revised, and now 1 person is telling it against without giving a very, very sketchy or the bona fide reason for it. So there, I wrote it. I got a rejection. It was morning, weekend, and I wrote back. And in 5 minutes, I got a mail. Then you have to wait another 21 days. I said, I mean, no problem. You have to wait another 21 days. So it means, so that is one aspect. Sometimes the desk rejection, somebody was telling me it has, that it was desk rejected. So it means editor-in-chief, it went to the associate editor, and associate editor desk rejected it. So then again, getting back to the EIC, and the EIC put it to the another associate editor, and like that. So when I raised this issue to the previous interviews, they said that yes, associate editor wise, there is a difference. Some people are very strict by nature. They are strict in every aspect of their life. Some people are little lenient. Some people are little, so there is a spectrum for sure. And so we are happy whenever people can bring it to us, that there is little bit and give us a scope. Of course, we don't want to, our 10% is already going to the decision already made. We want to know that why to alter, not like that. So, so that way, do you see any such a spectrum in your associate editorship or handling editor level?
No, we have certain policies that, for example, if editor is satisfied with the quality of work and does not make a desk rejection, then associate editor has to process it.
Yes. Nowadays, this because I am associate editor of some Elsevier journal, and I have been already told that why you are rejecting. This is the job of EIC.
Yeah. So that is one thing. And but as I said that not in paper publication is something at times even I wonder when I surf some of papers in my journal or some other journal, I wonder
why it published, how it got published.
But then we are guided by the reviewers. They are honorary reviewer, and we are committed to honor the advices made by them. In a case where what you mentioned, that one rejected but not giving any sound scientific reasoning, while others says accept and giving some critical comments, the wisdom should be that it should be given a chance to revise, and if necessary, take a third opinion. That is how we are guided by the policies of publisher. No, that is how that because not that everything we have to read and decide ourselves. So in such cases, a third report should be taken, and then only a final decision should be taken, by the editor. So depends upon journal. Sometime no, because not very fondly, but we have to keep in mind that the reviewer editors are also human beings. Their mental status at times might reflect on the work, So in a jolly mood.
And that is the essence. That is the essence of being human. I completely accept being imperfect. Actually, I hate somebody try to be perfect, and but that is the effort. That is what we have to do and live our life. So very, very much accepted. But one thing I would like to highlight, that you talked about quality and quantity. There, I have seen that you were not hypocritic. And which you can easily do that. But I have seen that you have been not hypocritic about this, because another day I was telling my PhD student who has submitted and waiting for the defense, and I told him that, look, there are some papers which becomes milestones. I gave that there is a three kind of publications. One is that path breaking. You do something very new, and this is a path breaking science. Another is directional science, which give direction to the research, that next to what. And then you just add, you don't break the path, you lead the path. Or it means that you sometimes just say that maybe this can be done this good way. And people now refer your paper and those things. And the third is to maintain your momentum. Just to maintain the momentum of research, momentum of writing, momentum of publishing, doing that exercise. Like every day, a cricketer goes to field and practice to a World Cup final. So, but you cannot play a World Cup final every year or every day,
Right.
right?
Right.
So in that case, so there, your emphasis on quality and quantity has agreed, or just a kind of, and it happened last week that I was talking. And I could have not talked like this had I not published with that much.
Yeah.
Had I not crossed that 150
Yeah.
papers of those things. Now I am thinking that, okay, out of that, how many is really a standout? How many are which category? And so I have a perspective to see. A person like you who has H index of more than 100, I know that H index is so difficult, so slow moving number. So that is because just for the audience, the H index is something which means that if 100 means 100 paper must have been cited more than 100 times. So, or at least 100 times. So that is, so it is not like one hit paper can be done. So it means, and it says that if a paper has been cited more than 25, 30 times, it's a hit paper.
Yes.
But if just consider Professor Pandey profile, whose 100 paper has been cited more than 100 times. So they all are blockbusters. I mean, 100 blockbusters. How many Sole has been given by Ramesh Sethi? Just one. So in that case, how many Maine Pyar Kiya or Hum Aapke Hain Kaun has been given by Suraj Barjatia? So I mean, this is the what it goes. So thank you very much for giving us this concluding the part 2. And now part 3 will be very rapid because we have talked about you. Just before leaving, we just want you to feel light and fresh, not being like tired. So this is what, it is very rapid fire round. And we expect to finish in 10 to 15 minutes. Briefly, what excites you about your work? Be very rapid. Don't give your thought. Just you say what it comes.
I think that the benefit which I have seen of educating the people, the benefit which I have seen in publishing the paper, and the benefit which I have brought by transferring my knowledge, my science to industries together.
Tell me what you like to do when you are not working.
Oh, I love cooking a lot. I love listening to music a lot. Yeah. I claim that nobody is better cook than me.
Wow. So, but now I have to go to Lucknow. I was in Lucknow, but next time when I will be in Lucknow, I will write to you.
Let me know.
And I also love cooking.
Yeah.
And which music do you like?
For me, music is music. No, I have one of perhaps not many researchers would have. I have Mexican music, I have Argentinian music, I have Slovakian music, Chinese music, and French music, and so ancestral music, Mediterranean music, current music, classical.
Oh my God!
Something should be there. No, by habit, when I wake up in the morning after brushing and all that, I'll put the radio on. When I'm working on my laptop, there is
music is on.
YouTube music is on. I love to listen Italian opera. I love to, so everything, but some kind of music. I don't sing. I don't play, but I.
But you hum, right? You must be like those things.
Yes, yes. And equally important for me is organizing social gathering. I am one of considered in all my family, friends, anywhere in the world, that no one is having that kind of expertise as I have in making social gathering, including conferences.
Yeah, that I know. But the conferences, again, I take it as a professional work. Yeah. But social gathering is, yeah, I also like, but always get scolded by my wife. But now I know that from where it is coming. Okay. How do you handle pressure?
That's a very nice question you have asked. I had olden time, I remember I used to get stress and even used to do my nail biting like this,
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm talking of 30 years, 25 years ago. But then slowly I learned, I was having a lot of aggression also in my personality in managing some of the situations. But I realized that is negative aspect of my personality. So many a time I have been able to develop kind of confidence in me, a matter which troubles me. I try to say, no, it is not troubling me. And I will try to do like this. Look at here. Huh? And most of the time, I get rid of that matter. And when
I mean, this one you used to say in front of somebody.
No, alone when I'm sitting and somebody is troubling me, some thought process is troubling me. I try to get out of that thought process. In the laboratory, when I was in Trivandrum in the institute, many a time, that the concentration was breaking. And that time, I just went out of my office and walked around the institute building. In fact, sometimes some colleagues will keep running. Hey, what has happened? Something you need or what happened? No, but then just a 5-minute walk in the nature, many a time helped me a lot to get out of that feeling that breaking the concentration. So I was able to. So this kind of things, that have been there. And
so
now,
I mean, you are. Yeah, please complete first. Then I will.
Now, in the sense, I can recall at least 6, 7, 8 years that I have been able to fully control this kind of emotions or thought process or stress, if you want to say stress or tension, if it comes to me for work or even for that matter, personal life.
But how did you overcome?
It's just self-concentration.
Do you use yoga or pranayama or something?
Nothing special, but just concentrating the mind. No, I have to get out of this. And I literally do like this, literally do like that. Huh?
No, but I can tell you, you think this is not good.
This is good.
Do you think doing this is not good?
This is not good. What is inside is not good. Get it out.
No. Your gesture, your body gesture of you're doing, using hand to do this. Is it not good that you are thinking?
No, it is good for me. But this I do when I'm alone, not in presence of anyone.
But I can tell you that even doing this in presence of somebody is fine, because my professor, I have seen, and actually this thing I also somehow do, but not much one, but it comes from my guide, because I saw him doing this, but for not as the perspective that you told, because that sometimes this is, I mean, your brain or your tension or tension in the heart also is being removed by your simple gesture is fine enough to do. I mean, even if I am just telling because for me or my audience, this is my just adding. I was talking about, I mean, this is also, I think, balancing family life and professional ambitions. I don't think that now you are any more confused there. So let's just keep this. Your 3 major strengths.
My 3 major strengths, I would say that my strong desire to keep working, keep performing, and keep contributing.
So this is desire. One strength. Now another 2 strength, cooking.
This is my hobby, cooking and music. I will say that. And carry everyone together, whether it is a social gathering, family life, or professional life. That has been one of my, major aim, that carry everyone together, make everyone feel part of the group, whether, as I say again, a program, a function, a family gathering, a seminar.
So inclusiveness, you take everybody along.
Together, yes.
Yeah. Here I would like to I thought that now you may not have any problem, but you have already told that you had to have I already know that you used to start early and you used to end early during your office hour. You used to take time out to go with family on weekend. But still, how you were managing your family life and professional ambitions during your young age? I mean, during those critical years, especially the educating child is really big thing.
Yes,
Nowadays, it is the biggest challenge I am facing.
this is important point again. And but what was very clear to me, that when they need me, when my children need me, I must be there. It was for some time stretching, but then I did it always. Whenever there were issues in the school, I always participated parents teacher meeting, and it was not a mock participation. Most of the time I made some suggestions, some points, some discussion I raised. And in fact, I can tell you that it was St. Thomas School, residential school, is run by Marthoma, Society, Christian Society, and the entire management committee has members only from Marthoma Christian Society. But by virtue of my speaking in every parents teacher meeting, by participating and raising some discussion about the education, I was invited and I was involved as a member of the management committee of the school.
I mean, this is one of the, there is a lot to discuss, but of course, because we have discussed a lot in some part, let it be here. Otherwise, we can have the discussion. But now I am thinking today, again, one of my idea generated. Like I told you that this seasoned scholar idea generated when my supervisor was superannuating. But today, after talking to you, I realized that I may like to begin one research-based thing to know that what is going on. And there are several other issues that to get enlightened with. But anyway, as of now, something, just two questions remain. One about very, very rapid fire, where I will ask you your favorite food, drink, and all that. But before going to that question, something you are not good at.
Something?
You are not good at.
I cannot sing. Many times, because I make in public gathering, in conferences even also, because I conduct this one of the night dinner where there is a anchoring, etc. I make everyone to get involved and all that. I make many people to sing who have never sung. And then at the end request come that you should also sing. I fail, completely fail.
Okay. So this is about the most favorite author.
Favorite author?
Not scientific
to say, but I was quite impressed during my childhood with the poetries of Maithili Sharan Gupta, stories of Ramchandra Shukla and Mahadevi Verma. That kind of people were, which I remembered, and I, even the stories of Premchand always influenced me, and I used to, even now, sometime on the TV channel, try to see that Malgudi days, that
Malgudi days.
Lakshman, that kind of from the childhood.
But and thank you. At least that shows your upbringing, and at least one thing from the heartland, which is deeply really. What is your or nothing can beat it, because here I would like to tell that you have been, I counted specifically 29 different countries, and so it was easy to have some. It should be overlapped by or superseded by some another literature, but you named the Hindi one, and I really appreciate that. You, what is your most favorite food?
Jalebi and chola bhatura.
Chola bhatura is a bit unusual, but what is your favorite cuisine?
Favorite?
Cuisine. I mean the continental, European, South Indian, North Indian cuisine, Punjabi or
North Indian. I am most happy with my roti, dal, and sabji.
Yeah. What is your favorite drink?
Drink, nothing special, but because I don't take, liquor, and I don't take soft drinks. So I would say perhaps water is a life.
Okay, good, great. What is your favorite possession?
Favorite possession?
Yeah, like any laptop or any old camera or old car or something that you love
This
seeing
one,
that
this one which I am using to talk to you.
laptop.
My wife says that you
Uh.
just enter in the laptop from the morning and difficult to take care of from the laptop.
Yes, it is a kind of satan. Okay, what is your most favorite book?
Who? Most favorite?
Book.
Food.
Any book?
Book.
No, book. I mean,
Nothing special, but I have been reading Gita. It is always my office on my table on my left, with a holy intention that one time I'll read the entire Gita. But it never happens. It's so complicated.
no, it will
And read one
never
page,
happen.
then and of course never get time that. But it is on my table, and I believe
Yeah,
in it. At least that gives me
no,
this.
but
Karma is.
recently, although although everybody knows the strength of Gita and all, but and I was gifted Gita early years, and but nowadays I am reading it, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to implement it in my life.
Manish, I think that the basic mantra is karma is a puja. I think that is what we should take from the Gita. We don't have to take literally one by one word and different shloka or different adhyaya. The basic mantra is this only, and I think we strongly believe and practice in our life. And and as much I know you, because initially I did not know who is this Manish Kumar, but once you wrote it, then I realized, oh, it is you. So I think the same you are following. So I think it should not, get worried beyond that. What is that we should get from Gita and all that. The basic mantra we are following, practicing, not following, practicing in our day-to-day life. That's most important.
Thank you. What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Again, difficult to say, but I love jolly movies. I do not want to see movies where
Crying.
For me, movies are entertainment. You keep laughing, that's the one. So I was very happy with Three Idiots. That kind of movies, there have been not one, many, but nothing so special that this is my favorite movie.
Okay. What is your favorite actor, both female and male?
In current time, I would say Amitabh Bachchan is my favorite.
Yes,
and
it is his time still.
Female, I had a great liking for Jaya Bachchan, Jaya Bhaduri. She's no more in between.
So even in liking, you are very dedicated husband. Okay. What is your favorite quote?
Favorite?
Quote. I mean, that you use or say, or so favorite quote? And mantra. Also mantra.
I always tell that there is no alternative to hard work.
Hard work, that is there.
No alternative. I tell to everyone, in home also. The young people.
So when you ask ma'am that please give me tea, and she says not that, you can say hard work has. Okay, what is your one mantra of your life that you follow, except hard work?
Equal importance I give to sincerity. Again, there is no alternative to sincerity.
Sincerity, again, I would say that father of hard work. Hard work generates from the sincerity.
Yes.
So tell me something else.
What was the question?
Your mantra of life, like I have to become rich, I have to be famous, being human, being just happy, or what has been your mantra that led you here?
Derive happiness from your
work.
own work and share that happiness with others.
Great. Now, so if we made you to think today and articulate it, we are happy. So trip in the past. Any favorite, most favorite trip in the past? Maybe Germany, the first time going abroad.
Yes, even today, I cherish that stay there and the remembrance of the old couple who treated me like their child, young child, and the German mother and all that. Everything is there in my mind, like very clear,
Yeah. Any bucket list that you want to do, still want to do in future?
Keep visiting some new places because I love.
So a bucket list is that, in my sense, of course, I want to open a restaurant, successful restaurant. That kind of.
I have a very strong desire to open an elderly home.
Great.
I always feel that should I do it or when should I do it? Where
now you should do it. Next year, make a resolution. I will do it in 2020.
I have a very strong desire for that. Yeah.
Now you should go for it. It will not. You can start with a small unit, maybe 4 or 5 people or 10 people, and grow on afterward. People will come together. You have now that power that if you will seek association or the contribution, people will come. If you were not, last question of this marathon talk is that if you were not an academician, what you would have been?
I think cooker, a cook. Or a tourist guide, event management person.
Actually, here also I would like to tell you that many of my, or without referring them, I can say is that those who know that what they would have been alternatively lived or become can be called as seasoned scholar, can be called as seasoned human being. Because if somebody has, because when I ask this question and somebody says, I didn't think of it, I know then and there that still seasoning is going on. Not it is seasoned. Process has not been completed because life will give you time that to think that, oh, if not this, what would have been the scenario? So thank you so much. I mean, I had literally enjoyed like anything. Again, it is an enriching experience. Sole kind of movie today we recorded, and so thank you so much. And my lot of perception has changed. Lot of I knew you. I look up to you. You are among those scholars who tell us who are that is still a long way to go. I mean, many times we can think that complacency can come, but when we see that. I mean, when recently I crossed I-10-100, but I told myself, but there are people who has H-index 100, so a long way to go. And so thank you very much. My sincere gratitude.
Thank you, Manish. I'll send you a couple of photographs which you can use in this one.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Because I always feel that my family has been, my wife and children, and extraordinary strength for my professional career, and not to forget my students, because they are the ones who have
please send this time you are going to put it at right time, and don't hesitate about the number. You can send as many as you can, because in these 4 hours we have in order to, because we record video, not only audio, so there should be some visuals also. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this time.
Thank you for okay. Thank you.